There you go. That's better.
That's much better.
Okay.
Cool.
So.
All right, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right?
It's Wednesday.
I always lose track of days. It's combat training day, so we're going to work on some really basic boxing stuff. We're going to do the jab, cross, straight, and some footwork. Some real basic footwork stuff. So that's going to be fun. And then we're going to hit the mitts for the first time, which is going to prevent, bruising and things.
Don't forget, I bruised his hand.
Yes, you did bruise my hand.
You bruised my wrist.
It's okay.
Oh, also, I'm going to just tilt that like...
You got it?
I think that's...
Okay, that's probably sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, let's do this.
All right. All right, come here. Oh. Not putting on gloves yet.
I'm putting on gloves yet.
All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with what we did last week. So, do you remember where we're starting? Okay. Okay. But you're left-handed. There you go. All right. So let's start from the beginning. We'll just feet together. Half step out with your right. Half step with your left. Okay. Now, when you do that half step, don't turn your foot yet. Now shift on the balls of your feet. There you go. Balls of your feet, not your heels. Okay. All right. Target is out 45 degrees from us, not directly out in front of us. Hands are up by your chin on the outside. So we want to make sure that, because if they're right in the front here, I can still clock you on the side. So you want to have that covered here, and then you can move toward the center line to deflect things. Okay, so first thing we want to do, hands up from there. We want to do the jab. So the jab is once again an extension from wherever the hand is, out in front of you. Good, turning the hand over and making contact. And remember, what works better speed-wise for your hand, position of your hand.
Oh,
yep,
this.
Little bit loose, little bit loose. Good, there you go. So once to come out, snap and come back. Snap and come back. Good. Now, don't extend out that way. It's that straight line. Think piston. And don't let that elbow flare out. Boom, boom, boom. Good.
Okay.
Now remember, the jab is not just in the arm. The jab is the whole body. Because if we think about arm punching, I just have the weight of my arm here to help me. So I don't want to lean. What I want to do is I want to either just twist, and I've got the rotation of my spine, my hips, and my front foot involved in it, or I can step and then twist. So just a tiny step. So I'm going to throw the punch. There you go. That's not bad. And then as soon as you're done, come straight back. Okay?
Okay.
Right out in front of you. Okay? Watch your stance. Don't let it get it in a straight line. Take that left foot out just a tad. There you go. Okay, not too bad. Now as soon as this lands, we go clock and it lands. As this is coming back, so's the foot. Same time.
Okay. So it's really hard, I'm finding, to be able to jump back into stance really fast.
Sure. That is partially because you're heavy.
Okay.
And partially because you're just not used to the movement.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So when we move back, we want to think about landing on the ball of your foot, not the whole foot. Because if you try to move while landing on the whole foot, it's not gonna be as quick. So the ball of the foot, and then that process, we've got that spring of push back. Okay? Just a little push back. A little better. It's okay. Now don't overstep, because if you overstep, it's going to be a lot harder for you to do that.
Dex plays on.
Oh, cool. If you overstep, then we've got this large distance that we're having to cover to come back, and we're not going to be, there you go, that's much better. It's a really small step. It's like 6 inches or so. Okay, just a little bit. Good. Not too bad. Now, watch this stance here, because when you were throwing the punches, every time you would throw,
I move up.
It shifted. This back foot shifting, and when you get in that straight line like that, you don't have any support in the other direction. So make sure that you keep that stance proper.
All right. So
not not too bad. Watch out here, you're still kind of whipping that out to the side here. It's a straight punch. It's okay, here, rest for a second. All right, shake your arms out. We'll switch sides, we'll do left jabs.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna take it from the beginning, and we're not quite at the point where I can get you to just go into the stance from normal. So we're gonna step forward with the left foot, step out with the right foot, and then shift. Hands up, and we're gonna start slow with the jab, toss, good. Again, go ahead, good. And that extension of the jab, the thing that he was having problems with is when he's extending the jab, instead of having a straight line from the target, from my fist to the target, he's leading more with the elbow and whipping the hand out. So he's raising the elbow and whipping the hand out. And when that happens, it's no longer a straight line from the fist to the target. So it messes up your targeting, and it's really easy to block because there's this whole forearm that I can touch here. So when that punch is coming out straight, it's much harder to block, straight line to the target, so it's much faster. Okay, remember your feet. So make sure that they're pointing relatively in the same direction. There we go. And then when we throw that jab, we're going to step out just a tad, land, and come back. Okay, not bad. Okay, not too bad. Loose hands. It's okay, breathe. Don't
so many different things to remember.
There's a whole bunch of stuff to remember. You put it all together, it's going to be fine. Okay?
Okay.
There we go. All right. Hands up. And throw the jab step. Ha! Come back. Ha! Come back. Good. Ha! Good. Now don't open up.
I'm not closing the fist.
That's okay. Don't open up your hand when you're out here. It's open here just a little bit, and as it comes out, it snaps closed. It goes ha! And comes back. Ha! Think about this. Think about your hand being like a whip, and at the very end of it, it's going to go and close. It's going to go snap. It's like your there's this anime called Hajime no Ippo, and at the very beginning of it, when he's learning how to jab, he's grabbing leaves out of the air, and he has to do it very quickly and snap his hand back. So if you're thinking about, how am I going to snap that hand, think about grabbing something in front of you, okay?
I'll admit here, yesterday's training,
with
he had me doing, you'll see it on the video on Saturday, so I did like 5 push-ups against the bar, and then 5 rows, and then just kept doing that for like 20 minutes. My arm, it's so hard to lift them up in the air.
I'm sure it is.
It's like, this is as high as I can go, but
I'm doing this as hard as I can. Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's go. And jab. Good. Jab. Good. Not too bad. All right. Give me 10. Let me see 10 of them. Okay. Doesn't have to be super fast. Just make sure they're good. Okay. Watch that whip. It's not straight line. Turn it over. Straight line. Okay. Turn it over. Hush. Hush. Ow. It's okay. Don't overthink it. Step throw.
There's so many things to remember. It's kind of hard not to overthink.
It's okay. With time, it'll become second nature, and you won't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, not too bad. Repetition, repetition, repetition. That's why we have homework where you throw the jabs repeatedly. Okay, all right. Let's swing your arms. Loosen up a little bit. Twist. Good, okay, awesome. All right, so you have a general idea of what the jab is supposed to look like. It's okay, we're gonna rest for a second. I'm just gonna teach for a moment. So the other thing that we're gonna do today is a straight or a cross, and they're pretty much the same punch. It's just really about where they're going. The point is that there are a straight punch from the rear hand. So what I'm going to do here is, for that straight punch, I want to act like there's a string tied from my wrist to my heel. Okay? So not moving, what that looks like is as this punch comes out, Watch my heel.
Okay.
It turns, okay? And so what that does is that allows me to be able to drive, have a line from my fist all the way to the ground to drive that in.
Okay.
Okay? Drive that in. Boom! So that's me standing still and doing it. There's also a little step that you can put into it. So I'll straighten out this foot a little bit. This opens up my hips.
Okay.
Allows me to get a little more power into it. So I'll go. So it's just a little bit involved there, okay? So that's really driving that punch in there, okay? Checking our comments here?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I throw that punch, if it's straight out in front of me, if my arm is straight, people would call that a straight, okay? If it's a little bit off to the side, like that, it would be more like a cross. So what that would happen is if you're straight on to me and I go boom, that's that straight punch. But let's say that I throw this jab first and your head moves that way to get out of the way. Cross. Okay? So they're about the same punch.
I'm having so many life and death moments right here. every punch you throw is just like, I'm going to die now.
Are you worried that I'm actually going to hit you?
No, I believe you're not going to hit me.
Okay.
On purpose.
But what if I do? Don't worry about that. Okay. All right.
Then if I do, then that means that liability contract I signed is going to bite me in the butt.
Okay. So, just focusing, we're not going to focus on putting the jab and the straight or the cross together. We're just going to focus on throwing the cross. So, let's switch stances so that we're in a southpaw because you're a lefty. Okay? And then hands up. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and think about that string being tied to your wrist, to that heel. Now, see, you're up here on your toes. When you're up on your toes, all your weight is in the front of your foot. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a balance issue there, but then there's also no power because I don't have that line to the ground to be able to drive forward any longer because I'm up on my toe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so. Oh, wait.
It's okay. Don't think about leaning forward here. What I want you to think about is just rotating on this foot. Keep the weight in that foot. Doing about like, there you go, good. Now don't get up on that toe. Think about the weight on the ball of your foot. String tied to the heel. Twist. There you go, much better, much better.
Gonna be a big old hole here in the ground.
That's okay.
Like this, right?
When the hole is 12 feet deep, your training will be complete.
I don't see how that's possible. I'm all the way down here.
It's one of those weird like Shaolin things. It's like, you know, dig a hole, you know, shovel, jump in the hole, jump out of the hole. Shovel, jump in the hole, jump out of the hole.
Oh, is that another anime reference?
No, it's like an old kung fu thing.
There's a lot of anime stuff I have to watch now. He's giving me his homework.
Too many references. Yeah, go watch Hajime no Ippo.
I want to be able to catch these references, understand them.
All right, so
many comments. I'm just like, no. Focus on staying right here.
Yeah, focus here. We'll read the comments later.
Stop commenting. No,
don't keep commenting.
Keep commenting.
Okay, all right. So we want to go ahead and put those hands back up. Hands up. There we go. Good. All right. We want to make sure that your elbows don't come out too much. Still want to have a nice little box here.
I'm too big.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. Just do the best you can. All right.
Wait.
So let's go ahead and.
I need joints up here.
Extra joints?
Extra joints.
I don't think it works that way. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get some more of those punches in. Let's do 10 of them, nice and controlled. Don't have to be fast. I just want the form good. Okay. And that whole concept about hitting it and bringing it back, we still want to adhere to that because if we leave that hand out, that makes us vulnerable. We don't want that. Good. How does that feel?
Shoulder still hurt, but it feels good.
Okay, good. All right, we're going to switch stances. We're going to do it the other side.
Okay.
Okay. Step out. Good. Step good. Not too bad. All right, hands up. All right. String, wrist, heel. As this comes out, that twists. So not just lift, turn. So that foot should be pointing forward. There you go, it's a little better. Now, don't let it start lining up on you again, okay? Because that typically happens when people start throwing punches a bunch. They'll hit, they'll twist, and when they come back at the end of that punch, they've moved a centimeter, 2 centimeters. So you want to try to make sure that whenever you throw that punch, whenever at the very beginning, when you come back, you are in the same position that you left. Okay? That makes sure that your stance stays stable. So even when we start doing footwork stuff, when we land, when we move, we always end up in the exact same stance that we left. Okay? That makes it so that everything is nice and uniform, and we can always move from the same position. Because if I take a big step, I'm really not mobile here, because I'm a lot more stable because I've got a wide base, but I don't have near as much mobility. So when you want to think about mobility and stability on a spectrum, the more mobile you are, the less stable you are. The more stable you are, the less mobile you are. Okay? So we want to think about being mobile, because boxing, fighting in general, is hitting or doing damage without having it done to you. And the best way to have that happen is to not be in wherever they're throwing the punch at. So if I go to throw a punch, yeah, sure, you can block it, but it's a lot better if you just not be there. Okay. So let's go ahead and get the left side forward stance. Okay, hands up. Bring this foot out just a tad. Good, all right, and extend. Good. Now don't get up on that toe. You want to make sure you're on the ball of the foot. Good. 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 Not so much. Get that heel. Twist. Now don't lean. Don't lean, because if you lean forward instead of twisting, because what you're doing right now is, instead of twisting and staying stable between those 2 points, because I can pick this foot up, and I'm still there for a second.
So you got your focusing foot pointed in the direction of your torso.
Well, that's if I was going to take that step.
Okay.
If not, I'm still here.
Okay.
So I've still got that same stability there, because this foot, the ball of the foot, is on the ground. If I don't twist properly when I go to pick up this foot, I've got no support here, because my knee is not in line with my toes here. So when I pick this up, I've got that moment of everything's falling because there's no support there. So too, if I twist too much and I come up on my toes, I don't have any support.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So I've got to hit that middle where I'm supported in the same line with my toes and my knees, but I'm also on the ball of my foot, not on my toes. Okay? All right.
Right.
Yep. Hands up. All right. Target's out that way. All right. Punch. Much better. Okay. Good. Good. Not too bad. I want you to think about when you toss it out there, it's still got that snap. Coming back.
Okay.
There's times where there would be less of a snap when you're like driving through somebody, but that's like I've set up a combination and you're like, oh, you're a little, dazed just for a second, and I can really drive through there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. How you feel?
Tired?
Okay. That's okay. Breathe. Just swing those arms again. We're going to be focusing here in just a minute, just on footwork, just so we can give your arms a rest. Okay? All right. So let's make sure that we've got.
The footwork was tiring me out.
Well, we're not. We're just going to do the footwork. So we're not going to do. The hands are just going to be here. And if your arms get a little tired and you need to put them down, that's fine. You can still work footwork with your hands down. That's not a big deal. So, starting off, what I would like to do is I would like to focus on stepping. Stepping first, okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and get in your stance. And then when you step, what I want you to think about is not just stepping with the foot that we're trying to move in the direction first, I want you to think about driving off with your rear foot just a tad so that it starts to move. Yeah, good. So it's a step and then a drag.
Okay.
A step and then a drag. Okay? Just a little bit. Just like 3 to 6 inches to start off with, okay? Now, when you step with that front foot, I don't want you to land.
Sorry.
He took that as an opportunity to read the comments. Okay,
You guys
so
have creepy fans on there.
why is that?
You'll see.
Okay, all right. So as we go to step forward, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to land on your heel. Because that moment that you land on your heel, you're no longer mobile. Okay? I can't move very quickly now because I have to complete my step. So it's much better that when I step that I stay on the ball of my foot, and how that looks differently is instead of here where I have to come to a full step before I can move again, if I land on the ball of my foot, I can do it immediately.
Wow. Okay, I admit I thought that was something that you only saw in stuff like animes.
What?
I've never seen that in real life.
The ability to shift your weight
The
like
ability
that?
to move that fast in different change directions like that. Yeah. I've never.
You've
seen
never
anyone-
watched tennis then.
Who watches tennis?
You want to talk about people that can change direction really quickly? Is tennis players. Crazy amount of ability to just move like that. Also, if you've ever watched football, if you've ever watched a running back do something, same kind of thing. All right, so yeah, that ability to step
I'm
And
not much of a sports guy.
and then change direction
Okay.
is because I've stayed on the ball of my foot. It's more mobile than having to take, and it's quicker than having to take that full step onto my heel and then roll to the ball of my foot. Okay? So whenever we're doing fight stuff,
You're always on the balls. Of your feet.
always on the balls of our feet so we can move around and play with footwork and stuff.
And now it's time for an Irish jig by Steven.
I'm actually not a good dancer. If my
Really, you're doing pretty good just there.
if footwork is not related to punching people, I'm not good at it.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and focus just on moving forward. So what I want you to do is I want you to start back here, and I want you to get up to the camera.
All right.
Walk
Have
back.
comments ready for me. I want to read them.
Okay, Duffy's ready. Duffy's reward for getting to the camera is comments. So that's what he's
Yes!
going for. So let's go ahead and get your stance right.
The comments are already coming. All right. So this.
All right, yep. And then go ahead and drive off with the ball of that foot. Okay.
I'm not doing it right.
It's okay. So you want to think about step and drag. Step and drag. Not
Dragging
too
the
much
back
though.
foot?
Yeah, dragging the back
Okay,
foot.
but not that
too
much.
much though, because if you go too much, then here we are just standing like normal. We want to land in the same position that we started in. Okay.
Okay, I have to hit the comment button to see them because they all went away. Show them. Show me the messages. Grit those teeth. Thank you.
Okay. So something that I saw you do, something that I saw you do just now is you started off in the right stance, but as we moved forward, we had that same thing happen where I'm gradually moving into that straight line there. Okay. So I want to say to maintain that same distance between your feet. Okay.
So this should be pointed forward.
Yeah. So as I step forward, as I step
at an angle.
Yeah, as I step forward, boom, and drag. And see, I left in that position, and I moved my foot about 6 inches forward. This moved about 6 inches forward.
Okay.
Stayed in the same place. Okay?
So.
Okay. Not too bad. Okay. Okay, that's not too bad. Something that I want you to think about is trying to keep your foot close to the ground.
You know, my landscaper's gonna be like, "What the freak happened back here? I am not cleaning up this mess."
This is ridiculous. Okay, so when you take that step, don't pick your foot up. Obviously that you didn't pick it up that high, but don't pick your foot up to take the step. I want to think about sliding across the ground. Now I'm obviously not actually sliding across the ground, but I want to be really close, okay? Because anything that I can do to stay close to the ground means that I can move again sooner. So that same thing of I don't want to land like this because I can't move again as quickly. If I keep my foot higher off the ground, there's a split second where I'm not able to move again.
Alright.
And that ability to move again quickly means that I can perform more actions more quickly. Okay? I have less space in between what I'm trying to do. Okay,
Right.
come back. Alright, go ahead and get your stance again. Foot out just a
Bit
little
of an
bit.
incline, so it's like
That's okay, just do the best you
I
can.
feel like I don't
Okay,
have balance. Okay.
take your foot back just a little bit. Okay, and then twist that foot so that they're pointing in the same direction. And we want to
Wait,
go.
same direction?
Well, so I don't want that L. I just want your feet in that same direction.
Okay. I thought this might be pointed forward though.
Well, they don't have, so like you see, my feet are not pointed forward here. They're still in that same direction. And the reason for that is because if I'm already pointed forward, it's a little bit harder for me to land on the ball of my foot because my heel's gonna get in the way when I step. The other thing is there's a moment, if I'm moving forward, if I toss a jab, if my foot is like this, I have the ability to open up my hips and throw across.
Okay.
But if my foot is already like this, I don't have that ability to move and open up my hips again. And so what that looks like is if I'm throwing a jab, if I go jab, and I want to kind of get offline because you throw a punch this way at my face, I can step off the line and counter. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to have more options to move, and staying in that stance gives you more options to move. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and head back here and we'll do this one more time. And then we'll switch stances and do it the other side.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Hands up. Whoa. Let's go ahead and put your hands up just so that you feel what it's like to move with your hands up.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Get in your stance. All right. And we're going to take a little bit of step. Drive. Step. Drag. Little step. Little step. Little step. A little better. A little better. Okay. It doesn't have to be fast. It just has to be good. In anything, form comes first, then speed. Okay? Speed comes with time. If you focus on speed first, you end up sacrificing form for that. Does that make sense? All right, so go ahead and breathe for a second. Then we're going to go back and we're going to switch stances and we're going to do the other side. This time what I want you to do is I want you to start over here because it's flatter.
Okay.
And you're going to move across the camera this way. Okay?
Okay.
So people can see it from a different direction.
Okay. Sup. Thanks for sticking around.
Duffy's a little tired.
You think?
It's hard to move that big a mass.
It is.
We were looking at his calves yesterday. They're like this freaking big. I told him when he gets thin, his bodybuilders are going to hate him. They're going to be like, how did you get calves like that? Oh, I was 420 pounds. Ah!
Alright.
All right, come this way just a tad because you're going to hit that hill over here.
This?
Yeah, come
I'm gonna
This
smash
way?
right into that.
Gotcha. Kick it out of the way. Yeah.
Oh,
Mushroom!
that's a mushroom.
It's okay.
And it has exploded.
It's all right. All right. So make sure your stance is good. Good. All right. And move toward me. Step and drag. There you go. Not too bad. Nice and slow. Good. Little steps. You started off big though. Okay, now, so with your back foot there, something that you're doing is when he goes to step, instead of maintaining that stance and being on the ball of his foot, he's turning it like an L. And when he steps with this foot and he goes to drag it, stuff like that's happening. Okay, and he almost fell because of that. So you want to try to make sure that your weight stays distributed between your feet and we're not dragging the foot like this, okay? Because if there's weight still centered between the balls of the feet, right here, and it says like 60-40 in either direction, then I can just pull this with me.
Yeah.
But if I lean too much when I go to move,
Yeah.
that makes sense?
Yes.
I'm going to try to keep that weight centered in between your feet.
water.
Need water? Did you not bring water out here?
I did not bring water out here.
That's
I know. I had 9 jobs now. Okay?
You have nine jobs. Duffy started with 7 jobs this morning, went to 8. Now it's at 9 jobs. 9 jobs. You only had 9 jobs,
I don't know
Duffy.
where this 7 job number even came from.
Don't even worry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
I'll tell you what to worry about.
Okay.
Worry about the jobs once I, get better.
9 of them. All right, come on.
Don't worry about my jobs, worry about my jabs.
Okay, there you go.
So 1 valid difference. Okay.
We'll buy that. That's not too bad. Remember to turn that foot.
Just turn it?
Yeah, so because you were still pointing that direction.
Okay.
So try to have it be in that same, they're parallel to one another.
I have an idea.
What?
Talk to the camera while I get water.
Okay. All right, so something that he's having a problem with, and you're probably going to have a problem with if you're just starting to do boxing or kickboxing or anything like that, is that if you are, if you have your feet together and you go to drive off, so you go to drive off here and your foot's not in the right position, it's going to drag, or you're going to be a lot less mobile because you're not on the balls of your feet. That's just going to come with time. Every time that you end up practicing, you're going to get a little better and better and better. It's going to take consistent work, because if you're not doing it consistently, you're not going to improve. So having a workout that lasts for 8 hours, like at a seminar or something like that, you're going to probably learn a lot. You're probably going to have a lot of things that happens. Yes, Isaiah, I see you. Don't comment anymore. So you're probably going to have a really good workout that day. You're probably going to be experience a lot of things during that seminar. But the problem is that you're probably not going to retain as much as you could retain. And if you're just using things like that to try to think about, oh, I'm learning a whole lot of stuff, but you're not practicing the skills that you've learned, it's really not any profit to you. So always consider basics consistently. You know the old Bruce Lee quote about, I don't fear the man that's practiced 10,000 kicks once, I fear the man who's practiced 1 kick 10,000 times. And I can tell you right now that one technique practiced into the absurd levels can do a lot, because you can even knock out a person with a jab. I've seen it happen, done it myself. If you practice one technique and you understand it and you do it a lot in the whole scope of whatever you're doing, you'll have a really powerful weapon to be able to use. Obviously, you're not going to win fights just because you practice one technique, but in the scope of your movement and your style, whatever it is you're doing, if you find out what you're good at or what's useful and you practice it, you're gonna find out that you have developed a very useful weapon for yourself. Let me check these comments here.
Look who's scrolling through the comments now.
Yeah, because the majority of them are my son.
Oh. Oh, that's fine, something. Hi, I got water.
Okay.
Also, I'm not sure. I talked to the guy that's doing the stuff in the kitchen right now. Like, he put the countertop back on,
yeah,
like the old countertop back on the new cabinets, and it's like, countertop people have to come by today and measure where they're gonna put the countertop, and you just put like old countertop on there. Is that gonna be in the way? And he's like, I don't know.
Okay, cool.
So he's calling.
Well, let me grab a drink. You can talk to the camera for a second, and we'll come back and do.
I have been told to come talk to you guys. Hi.
Tell them how you're feeling today.
Now that I have water, I'm feeling a lot better. I guess while I'm the one talking, I'll talk about the weather. It's cold out. It's what would you say, 50s?
Oh no, I don't think it's that cold.
It was in the 40s around 8 o'clock this morning.
It's probably in the 60s now.
Okay, it could be in the 60s. It's like last week it was in the low 80s for the high every day, and then suddenly one day without warning it was just like 68 degrees high. Okay, talking about the weather's not actually all that interesting. I will
All
now
right.
tell you the secret of the. We're starting. Okay.
We're starting again.
Okay.
No more secrets of the
No
universe.
secrets. Of the, sorry, guys. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
Next time. All right. So, Duffy got some new gloves,
Yay.
so we're gonna break those in.
Yeah, because we don't want bruises this time.
Yeah. And I'm gonna wear mitts, which are old as crap. I think these mitts are 10 years old. Maybe get some new mitts.
Well, hey, I offered to buy some yesterday, and you were like, no, my old ones will work just fine. Whatever. I'm not the one wearing them. For now, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's probably they will wear them eventually.
They'll probably end up lasting just a little bit.
Okay. Think they'll make it in the next 6 months?
Who knows?
Okay.
You're a big man.
It just occurred to me that I don't have.
That's okay. So whenever you're doing that, you can take this, turn your hand over, and then.
I'm trying.
Here, look, grab it like this.
I know how a Lego man feels.
Grab it like this. Good. Okay, now,
Ow.
as you get a little bit more comfortable wearing gloves, you'll just take your teeth and go.
Actually, I feel like.
There you go.
I think I was almost about to lose some teeth that way.
Don't do that.
Don't want to lose my teeth.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the jab. So what's going to happen is we're going to do this really slow because you're not used to hitting the target, and I don't want to get hit in the face. All right, so I want you to think about reaching out, touching the target. I'm going to meet you a little bit in, okay? So you're going to reach out and touch, and I meet you. Reach out and touch, and I meet you. Whenever you're feeding, which is what I'm doing right now, you want to make sure that your hand is supported by your elbow and your shoulder. I don't want to hold out here, because if you hit out here, that's going to start hurting my shoulder eventually.
Okay.
So I want to think that everything's nice and tight, and then pop, 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 pop. Not too bad. Not too bad. Don't start moving in, because we're not moving yet, okay? So you want to make sure that you maintain that position, and then, okay, and in. Good. 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 Not too bad. All right, you still want to have that full extension of the jab, so just because you made contact, don't stop, okay? Good. Good. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, watch the lean.
Lean and I need to snap back. Should have gotten Hulk gloves is what I should have done.
Yeah, probably. I tried to get you to have the pink gloves, but that's fine. Okay, let's go. Now remember to breathe. Yeah, you hold your breath while you're throwing punches, you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
All right, big man. Now I know you got the glove on, but I still want you to think about making contact with these first two knuckles, right here. These two, because sometimes with the glove on, people tend to let it roll more towards the pinky. And while it's not such a big deal because we're just hitting these mitts right now with your gloves on, you start hitting a harder target like somebody's skull, it's going to end up doing damage over time. Yeah, you might end up breaking a knuckle. So you want to try to focus on making contact as much as possible with those two knuckles. Now the wrist here. I wasn't talking about your wrist here. I was talking about the way you were positioning your hand. So if you're making contact here, this is the outside of the hand. This is there you go.
Okay.
Make sure that you're making contact with those knuckles there. Straight wrist. How you feeling?
Okay, my arm is worn out now.
It's okay.
But it feels, I'm finding it difficult to both extend all the way with your hand there and snap back properly.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. It's something's throwing me off.
So when you hit,
my hand
feel like you're having
my
a hard
hand's
time?
kind of. It's because like my hand's. What do you think? Because my hand's kind of already bouncing on there, so it kind of feels like I'm already snapping.
Gotcha.
So when I need to bring it back, my mind's just. I don't know if that's what it is.
That's fine. That'll leave with time. I just want you to think about practicing. Okay. All right. So let's switch sides.
Oh. Okay.
All right. Slow at first. touch, 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 touch. Good. Pop. A little faster. Good. 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 Breathe. Every time there's a punch coming out, exhale. Sharp exhalation of air is going to help you get a little bit more force, and it's going to help regulate your breathing.
Okay.
Come on. We can rest in a minute. You can rest when you're dead.
I want to rest.
Come on, and go.
Ah.
It's okay. Control. There we go. If you feel like your form is starting to slip, slow it down again. Don't lean.
We're going to be doing this with it?
Yeah, there shouldn't be a lean
So
there.
just move my arm.
Just moving your arm. I'm going to meet you at the... There we go. Good. Good. Okay?
I think what I'm doing right now is just keep actually having my arm up in the air.
That's okay. You're doing good.
It's like that.
Plus, you've got,
thing with
you've got
Duke
16-ounce gloves on, so you've got a pound in each hand, essentially.
Oh, that's what that meant. I didn't really realize they were weighing the
16-ounce
gloves.
gloves, yeah.
I didn't know what that meant. That didn't make sense to me. This is the produce aisle? These gloves are $40 a pound.
$40 a pound.
Or $20 a pound, I guess.
Oh, yeah, $20 a pound. Okay. All right. Switch. I'm trying to get that left side forward because your right side is forward. So there we go. Good. All right, and oop. Okay. Don't extend. Oh, there you go. Good. Now watch that.
Ooh, my elbow.
Yeah, because you're doing this. Instead of coming straight out, we're doing this again.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and give that a rest today. You're just starting with punching, so we need to be careful. Don't want to do too much too soon.
Okay.
How'd it feel to hit something?
It's good.
Good.
Just imagine that's those mitts for your face.
So we want to make sure. Well, that's typically what helps with that. So we want to make sure that these are closed.
Okay.
If you end up sweating in gloves like this, you want to make sure that you wipe them out.
Okay.
And you can
I was
actually.
definitely sweating in this.
Yeah, and you can actually get like a little spray that you can spray in there, or you can take a baby wipe and wipe.
I have plenty of those.
You probably do.
Oh, speaking of which, went upstairs this morning to Dameron's nursery when she woke up.
Yeah.
Opened up the door, and she's sitting there with a pack of wipes in her hand in the crib with it open. She's just like, "Hi."
I've never seen a child more interested in pulling out wipes and random pieces of paper in my entire life.
I put that thing on the dresser, which is right next to her crib, but I put it on the other side. I don't know how she got that. I have made mistakes before of leaving the wipes on the side close to her, and she just gets it, and there's like 50 wipes that have been wasted. But this time, I had it like further away, like on the changing mat that's on top of it. She apparently was able to grab the changing mat, pull it towards her, get the wipes, and then empty it all out onto her.
That's pretty ridiculous. Okay, so let's review what we did today. Okay, so why don't you tell me what we did?
All right, well, we learned how to, I learned how to walk by driving off my back foot and sliding, and doing that in short steps, not long steps, so that I keep my balance and I can keep moving.
Okay.
And one day I'm going to be able to move like an anime character or a tennis player, one of the two.
One of those two things. Okay.
I learned that it's a lot harder to hit something with mitts on. I thought that'd be easier, but it turned out it's actually a lot harder.
It is a lot harder.
Which is kind of strange. I figured, that would make it easier, but not one bit.
It's just because you're not used to wearing them.
Yeah, probably, I guess. Okay. Trained more. We reviewed a lot of what we did last week.
Yep.
With just basic jab work.
Yep.
And combined that with footwork.
And you also learned a new punch.
I learned a new punch. That's right, the cross.
Yep. Cross or the straight. Now, what I talked about while you were in the house, you weren't here for, but something that's important is that this stuff needs to be practiced consistently if you're going to get better at it. It's got to be, it doesn't have to be absolutely every day, but being consistent with it means that you're going to build the neural pathways that are necessary for you to be able to do the technique efficiently and to be able to put enough power into it.
Okay.
because it's not just the arm moving, it's the whole body. And so you have to coordinate all of these movements at once to be able to do what we're trying to do.
There is a lot of coordination.
There's
I'm
definitely a
noticing.
lot of
There's
coordination.
so many things about where the right foot goes and left foot goes.
Yep.
How you move your hips, how you move your torso, how
Yep.
you move your arms, your elbows, your shoulders.
And then so
The sliding thing here for the crossing, that is, I don't understand how
that's okay.
I'm going to be able to
That's
learn
okay.
that. But
Now, we start from the outside with the larger things first, so we have these big movements, and then we start shrinking it down so that you start to understand things from a smaller scale. So there's actually like little things that you'll do with your toes and little things that you'll do with your abs when you're throwing a punch that happen at the same time. So like small muscle things that you don't see from the outside during the big movement. Okay, so we get the big movement first, and then we shrink everything down, and we start talking about the inside. Okay, all right. So that's really all we're going to cover today. Homework for today is we're going to do 50 jabs again, and we're going to do 20 crosses or straights on each side.
20 jabs, 20 crosses
Yep,
on each side.
So that means you're going to be doing 140 punches.
And watch Dragon Ball.
And well, you can either watch Dragon Ball or you can watch Hajime no Ippo.
I don't think I can spell that into my Fire
That's
TV,
okay.
so
I'll find it for you. It'll be fine.
find
That's okay. Hajime no Ippo. What's really funny is that you name the first episode First Steps, which is pretty much the first episode of Hajime no Ippo.
Really?
It's because like
Yeah, I kind of control the YouTube channel now. I'm the editor and the social media manager now, so I didn't know.
yeah.
I just thought it would work.
It's pretty. No, it's actually really funny. I thought it was funny. All right. So thanks for watching our first live stream. I thought it was pretty fun.
Me too.
Probably do this a little bit. You know, I don't know if we'll do it every week, but at the very least, we'll try to do it on a more regular basis. And then you'll see some of this stuff in the episode of Origin Story that comes out this Saturday.
9:30 a.m. Eastern.
Yep, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And then we got a new episode coming out every Saturday for the foreseeable future.
For at least the next 6 months.
For at least the next 6 months.
And if I can get my act together, there's going to be a like a 2-minute vlog, post-workout vlog from me, Monday through Friday, so you'll be able to see exactly what I'm going through and how the training is happening. We want this to be a good lesson for anyone watching who's in my shoes, also for a lesson for anyone who wants to be a trainer, who wants to be in his shoes. So there's plenty of different points of views we want to get across.
So if you're feeling like I don't really know what it's going to feel like to start an exercise program,
you'll get to see real tears.
Yeah, you will get to see Duffy talk about that and have moments where it's like, oh, I felt really good about today. Today was triumphant. Or if he's going to come to the camera and be like, look, I don't want to do this anymore. This is ridiculous. I hurt everywhere. And
that was last week.
Yeah, that was last week. So you're gonna get to experience that firsthand with Duffy, which I hope you will enjoy because I think it's funny. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys next time.
See ya.